their new commanding officer got detained at the entrance by her own soldiers. A new commanding officer, Major Harper, had just arrived at the base in Afghanistan. She was the first woman to hold this position. Everybody expected her to be fair, but they didn't expect what happened at the entrance gate. Major Harper had been warned about the situation with deserters in the unit she was taking over. However, nothing could prepare her for what she experienced as soon as she got to the base. As soon as she stepped out of her car, she saw a group of soldiers standing next to the entrance gate. All of them were armed to the teeth and looked like they were ready to fight their way off the base. But it wasn't just the weapons that made her stop in her tracks. It was also the fact that one of them was holding a sign that read, "Welcome to the Free Zone." Before she could even process what was going on, one of the soldiers approached her and said, "Major Harper, I presume." He was tall and muscular, with a beard that covered most of his face. "I'm Private First Class William James. I have a question for you." "What is it?" Harper asked, trying to keep her voice steady. She had dealt with difficult situations before, but something about this one set her on edge. James took a deep breath. "Why are we under the control of a woman who couldn't even lead herself out of a paper bag?" He gestured towards the base with his chin. "We don't want a female commanding us. We're men and we need a man in charge." Harper was taken aback by his audacity. This was supposed to be a prestigious assignment, not a jungle warfare simulation. But as she looked around, she realized that these men were serious. There were more than a dozen of them, all armed and dangerous. And they weren't just soldiers. They were elite soldiers, handpicked for their skills and experience. If this was a mutiny, she was in trouble. But Harper wasn't the kind of woman to back down from a challenge. In fact, she thrived on them. So instead of showing fear, she showed defiance. "You think I can't lead because I'm a woman?" she asked, her voice like ice. "Then prove me wrong. Show me that you're right. Show me that I can't keep order here." James was taken aback by her response. He had expected anger, maybe even fear, but not this icy calm. It was like talking to a wall, and not just any wall, but an impenetrable one. He opened his mouth to respond, but before he could say anything, another voice cut in. "That's enough, James." A tall, broad-shouldered soldier stepped forward. His face was weathered and lined, and his eyes were sharp and intense. "We don't want any trouble, Major Harper. All we ask is that you leave us alone and let us finish our tour without interference." This was clearly the leader of the group, the one who had kept everyone in line so far. Harper met his gaze directly. "And what makes you think I won't interfere? What makes you think I won't put you all in jail for mutiny?" The soldier's expression didn't change, but there was a hint of a smile in his eyes. "Because you know you can't. We've got you outnumbered. Plus, it's not mutiny if everyone's doing it. And let's face it, nobody here wants to go back. Not after what happened last time. We're better off here together." Harper knew they were right. She had heard about the incident when the previous commanding officer had tried to take the base back. Things had gotten violent and several soldiers had been injured. She took a deep breath and said, "Look, I don't want any trouble either, but I can't just ignore what you've done. You've broken the rules, and you will face the consequences." "We'll face them together," James said, stepping forward again. "Just give us one chance. Let us prove to you that we can hold this place down until reinforcements arrive." Harper hesitated. She knew that sending in the military would only cause more casualties. but how could she trust these men? They had shown their defiance, but what guarantee did she have that they wouldn't turn violent again? Before she could respond, a loud voice boomed over the radio. "Major Harper, do you copy? Come in, Major Harper." It was the general. She had been in contact with him before taking over the base. Now he was asking for a status report. She glanced at the soldiers, then back at her radio. How could she explain this situation without sounding incompetent? Suddenly, James stepped forward and said, "Tell the general, everything's under control. We've got things handled here." Harper was taken aback. Was he serious? Was he really willing to lie to the general? "If you want to stay here, that's your decision," Harper finally said. "But I'm not staying. I'm going to the general." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving the soldiers behind. She could hear their murmurs, but she didn't care. She had to report what had happened. As she reached the safety of her car, she took a deep breath. She had survived the first encounter, but the real battle was just beginning. How would the general react to hearing about the mutiny? Would he send in the military, or would he try a more diplomatic approach? Meanwhile, back at the base, James addressed his men. "All right, listen up," he said, his voice firm. "The major's gone to get help. We need to be ready for when she comes back. She might try something, but we're not giving up. We're all in this together." As James spoke, the other soldiers nodded in agreement. They knew that they were in a tough spot, but they were ready to fight for what they believed in. Hours passed and still no reinforcements arrived. The sun beat down on the base, making it even hotter than usual. Harper sat in her air-conditioned office, pacing back and forth. She couldn't believe what had happened. She had never seen anything like it in her career. Suddenly, the door burst open and James stood there, his face grim. "Major Harper, I presume." "What do you want, James?" Harper asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "Are you guys just gone?" "Nah, let me walk into your little hideout without any resistance." James shook his head. "No, ma'am. That's why I'm here. I need you to listen to me." "What is it?" Harper asked, her curiosity piqued. "We want to make a deal with you," he said cautiously. "We won't leave the base, and you won't send the army in. Plus, we'll give you back the command of the base." Harper was stunned. Was this a joke? Were they really offering to give up without a fight? "Why?" she asked cautiously. "What's the catch?" "There is no catch," James replied. "We just want to go home, ma'am. We've had enough of fighting. We're tired of losing good men." Harper hesitated. She couldn't believe what she was hearing, but she knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If these men were willing to give up without a fight, she could save countless lives. "Okay," she said finally. "Deal." James smiled, relief washing over him. "Thank you, ma'am. We won't let you down." And with that, he turned and walked away, leaving Harper to ponder the events that had just transpired.